You've met that person who never asks for respect, but always gets it. They don't beg for attention, yet when they enter a room, the conversation bends slightly in their direction. They don't parade their wins, but everyone assumes they're valuable. What do they have that most people don't? It isn't money. I've watched people with empty wallets and full presence command a crowd. It isn't looks. I've seen average-looking men and women hold court like royalty. It isn't raw intelligence either. Some of the smartest people you know get tuned out, talked over, and quietly ignored. What they have is invisible. You can't point to it like a shiny watch or a job title, but you feel it in every interaction. It changes how people move around them, what they reveal, and what they hold back. Here's the wild part. This isn't new. The principle has been hiding in plain sight for over 500 years. Machiavelli wrote about it, and the most influential people still use it every day, while the rest of the world never even notices. Today we're going to name it, break it down, and build it step by step, so you can deploy it starting now. Quick warning before we start. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. You'll notice who has real power and who is acting like they do. You'll understand why some people glide through the doors that others are pounding on. If you're ready for that kind of clarity, drop this in the comments to set your intention. I choose to become the hidden force that shapes reality. Let's begin. 1. The discovery. Real power works in quiet. You've been sold a cartoon version of power, loud, aggressive, constantly performing. That's fake power. It's the posture of people who are desperate to control what they can't influence. Real power doesn't audition. It doesn't wave its arms. It doesn't plead. Real power moves in silence. It operates in the shadows. It influences without announcing itself. Think about the most powerful person you've actually met. Not a celebrity, not a politician, someone in your world. Do they dominate every conversation? Do they brag? Do they fill silences because they're uncomfortable? Probably not. They carry something else, a field around them that makes people lean in, speak a little more carefully, and measure themselves before they try to measure that person. I call it invisible dominance, the most unfair advantage any human can develop. While others fight for attention, you attract it. While they scramble to be heard, people will wait for your words. While they try to be taken seriously, you will be taken seriously by default. And the best part? No one can quite explain why. The average person broadcasts everything: emotions, thoughts, plans, weaknesses. They're walking billboards for their own vulnerabilities. Invisible dominance flips that script. It keeps people guessing. It makes them work to understand you. It builds a magnetic mystery that draws people in while keeping you fully in control. Machiavelli said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." That's the foundation. You choreograph what is visible and protect what is essential. You control the surface, posture, timing, tone, while keeping your real power off stage where it cannot be poked, predicted, or easily opposed. Amateurs think influence belongs to whoever talks the most. Pros know the strongest influence comes from the force nobody sees until it's too late to resist. If that makes sense to you, lock this in. Mystery is my strength. My silence is my weapon. 2. Why predictable people always lose. Here's a belief that quietly drains your leverage. If I'm open and transparent about everything, people will trust me. Sounds noble. In practice, it makes you controllable. When people can read every emotion on your face, when they can predict your reactions, when they always know where you stand, they can run you like a script. You become easy to steer, easy to provoke, easy to manage. Look at anyone who consistently gets what they want from others. Do they pour out their private life to anyone who asks? Do they explain every decision in full detail? Do they react to every poke? No. They keep their cards close. They reveal information strategically, not emotionally. They understand the first rule of power. Predictability is the enemy. If someone knows criticism makes you defensive, they can control you with a single negative comment. If they know flattery melts your guard, they can lead you anywhere by complimenting your shoes and your soul. If they can map your triggers, they own your buttons. Smart people treat information like gold. Weak people give it away for free and then feel confused when they get mined. Every time you overshare, you lose leverage. Every time you overreact, you lose respect. Every time you overexplain, you lose authority. Your goal isn't to become a cartoon mystery who never says a word. Your goal is to become strategic. Reveal the right thing at the right time to the right person for the right reason. Information is currency. Your emotions are assets. Spend neither impulsively. Being unreadable isn't fake, it's disciplined. You're still honest. You're simply not a vending machine where anybody can put in a question and out drops your entire emotional history. Anchor this with a new identity statement. I am unreadable, unpredictable, and unstoppable. 3. The silent observer's hidden weapon. Most people think the person doing the talking is running the conversation. That's wrong. The person asking the right questions is actually holding the wheel. Talkers reveal. Observers learn. When you stop racing to fill every silence, the room gets loud with data. You'll see the topics that make people squirm, the words that create spikes, the tiny tells that show insecurity or deceit. People gift you this information because they're uncomfortable with quiet and hungry to be seen as interesting. You just have to let them. But silent doesn't mean absent. You're not checking out. You're dialed in. You ask thoughtful questions that open doors. You mirror back key phrases to keep people expanding. You time your contributions for impact. One well-placed sentence over 10 wandering paragraphs. You can be warm, generous, funny, and still disciplined about what you reveal about yourself. You do precision, not performance. Strategic listening gives you superpowers, patience when others are impulsive, clarity when others are cloudy, options when others are boxed in by their own monologues. When people notice you don't rush to fill space, they recalibrate. They prepare better. They measure their words. And when you finally speak, they pay attention because your speech is rare and therefore valuable. There's a line from Machiavelli that gets quoted to death. It is far safer to be feared than loved. But here's the modern read. When people can't place you, when they can't instantly label you as soft, angry, agreeable, volatile, they give you a wider berth. They will mix respect, curiosity, and a touch of caution. That cocktail is power. It means your words land heavier. It means your boundaries are tested less. It means your presence does part of the heavy lifting before you even open your mouth. So practice this. In your next conversation, reduce your word count by 30% and increase your question count by 30%. Replace filler with pauses. Replace reactions with observations. Replace explanations with a single, clean statement. Then watch what people offer you truths, tells, timelines, simply because you let the silence do its work. 4. Scarcity creates value, and availability destroys it. Here's a law of human nature most people hear, nod at, and then break all day long. Scarcity creates value. Availability destroys it. If you are constantly on call, constantly replying, constantly showing up for every minor thing, people unconsciously file you under abundant resource, which means they stop noticing you. Your yes becomes a reflex to them. not a decision by you. But when you practice selective availability, your presence becomes an event. Your attention becomes precious. Your time becomes something people earn, not something they presume. This isn't game playing, it's hygiene. Gold is valuable because it's rare. Masterpieces are priceless because there aren't many. Your attention works the same way. Make it scarce enough to be respected and consistent enough to be trusted. That looks like this. You don't respond to everything instantly. You respond within the cadence you choose. You don't accept every invite. You prioritize the rooms where your presence matters. You don't drop your standards because someone brings urgency. You keep your pace because that's how quality decisions are made. When you do show up, people feel the difference. When you speak, the room weighs your words. When you contribute, you tilt outcomes. Machiavelli noted that most people judge by what they can see, not by deeper testing. Many will gauge your value by how easily they can reach you. So make access a function of respect and relevance, not pressure and proximity. And yes, this requires boundaries. It requires a spine. But if you want your presence to mean something, it cannot be everywhere, for everyone, all the time. Repeat this to anchor the habit. My time is precious. My presence is powerful. 5. Strategic presence, not constant presence. Most people confuse busy with important. They try to be in every conversation, attend every event, and have takes on every topic. They believe being everywhere breeds influence. In reality, it breeds invisibility. Constant presence turns you into scenery. Strategic presence turns you into a signal. Strategic presence means you appear where impact will be highest, at the moment when your contribution will matter most, with the preparation to land it cleanly. It means saying no to good opportunities so you can dominate great ones. It means speaking when your words will echo, not when your ego wants to be heard. It means leaving while the energy is up so people wish you had stayed a little longer. That lingering desire is influence. Strategic presence also means knowing when not to be seen. Sometimes the smartest move is observation. The fox mode, watching the field, learning the players, waiting for the right timing. Other times it's the lion move, stepping forward with calm command when the moment demands it. Power is not about being loud or visible all the time. It's about reading the situation perfectly and acting with precision. When you enter strategically, the energy of the room shifts. When you speak strategically, your words echo. When you act strategically, people remember. But if you're everywhere, all the time, people stop noticing. When you speak endlessly, your words lose gravity. When you react to every stimulus, people stop taking you seriously. Even your silence loses power if it's constant and uncalibrated. Strategic presence is about rhythm, appearing, acting, and disappearing with intention. And here's the part most people miss: knowing when to exit. The person who knows when to leave a meeting, a conversation, or even a relationship creates a lasting impression. You want people thinking, I wish they'd stayed longer, not, when will they leave? Repeat this in your mind. I choose my moments. I control my presence. 6. Emotional control. The inner fortress. This is where most people lose the game before it even starts. They let others control their emotions, and through that, their actions. Every day, people try to manipulate you. Some do it consciously. Most do it unconsciously. They use flattery to lower your guard. They use criticism to make you defensive. They create fake urgency to make you rush. They use guilt to trap you. And every time you react emotionally, they gain control. Emotional mastery isn't about being robotic. It's about feeling everything but revealing nothing unless it serves your goals. When someone insults you, feel the anger, but don't display it unless it gives you leverage. When someone praises you, enjoy it, but don't get addicted to their approval. When someone pressures you, notice the manipulation, but respond only when you choose to. Your emotions are information, not commands. They signal what's happening inside you, but they don't get to drive your behavior. Most people confuse authenticity with reactivity. They think that blurting out every feeling makes them honest. But real honesty is measured. Real authenticity is self-control. You're not suppressing emotions, you're mastering them. Machiavelli said, "Whoever wishes to foresee the future must consult the past, for human events ever resemble those of preceding times." The pattern never changes. Emotional people get controlled. Controlled people stay powerful. Picture this. Someone tries to trigger you. Maybe they insult you in front of others, hoping to make you lash out. But you don't bite. You pause. You think. You smile slightly and stay composed. The power shifts instantly. They expected chaos. You gave them calm. Someone tries to rush you into a bad deal, but instead of panicking, you breathe, delay, and decide later on your terms. Someone uses guilt to corner you into saying yes, and instead of folding, you calmly say, "No, that doesn't work for me." That calm unnerves people who rely on control tactics. They can't manipulate what they can't move. When chaos breaks out and you stay centered, people instinctively look to you for leadership. When others are emotional and you remain rational, people trust your judgment. When everyone else loses their cool, you become the anchor. Emotional control is your internal fortress, invisible, unshakable, untouchable. 7. The power of strategic silence. Now we move into one of Machiavelli's most misunderstood secrets: silence. Most people can't handle it. Silence makes them nervous, so they rush to fill it with words, explanations, or apologies. But silence is not emptiness. It's pressure. It's power. It makes others reveal themselves while keeping you unreadable. Strategic silence is the space where people show you their real intentions. It's the tension that makes your words carry weight when you finally speak. It's the quiet that forces others to wonder what you're thinking, and that wonder gives you control. There's a difference between awkward silence and strategic silence. Awkward silence happens when you're uncomfortable. Strategic silence happens when they are. The difference is confidence. When should you use it? After making a strong statement, stop talking. Let your words breathe. Don't dilute them by over-explaining. When someone tries to trap you with a loaded question, pause. Silence breaks their rhythm. When tensions rise and everyone's talking over each other, stay quiet. People will notice your calm more than their chaos. When someone pressures you for a quick answer, use silence as armor. It buys you time and often forces them to expose what they really want. Machiavelli said, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." Strategic silence is dangerous because it requires nerve. But that's what makes it powerful. Most people will reveal far too much just to end the silence. They'll start talking to fill the void, giving away secrets, strategies, even their insecurities, all while you simply observe. In negotiations, silence makes people panic. In arguments, silence makes people doubt. In relationships, silence makes people crave your attention. It's one of the most underestimated psychological tools in existence. While others talk, you learn. While they rush to fill the air, you read the subtext. While they get nervous, you get insight. Use silence intentionally, not as avoidance, but as influence. And when you finally decide to speak, make it count. People will lean in. Your words will land harder because they contrast against the quiet you held before. Say this out loud. My silence speaks louder than noise. My words carry weight. 8. Never reveal everything you can do. Here's another silent killer of influence. Overexposure. Most people believe that showing everything they can do up front builds credibility. They think revealing all their abilities makes others value them more. It doesn't. It makes you predictable, and predictable means powerless. When you reveal everything too soon, you give people the full blueprint to manage, copy, or counter you. You remove curiosity. You remove leverage. You remove mystery. The strongest individuals reveal their capabilities strategically, one layer at a time, always keeping something in reserve. Mystery creates power. Transparency kills it. Think of your skills, your network, your knowledge as a deck of cards. You don't lay them all on the table in the first round. You play the right card at the right time. Sometimes you let others underestimate you on purpose. That way, when you finally reveal what you can truly do, it hits twice as hard. Machiavelli wrote, "He who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner affects his ruin than his preservation." In other words, don't act out of impulse or the need for recognition. Act from strategy. Keeping some of your capabilities hidden gives you flexibility. It lets you adapt, surprise, and pivot without others being able to anticipate your next move. It also protects you, because nobody can use against you what they don't know about. You can be honest, but still selective. You can be skilled, but still reserved. You're not being deceptive, you're being deliberate. You answer what's asked, but you don't volunteer what's unnecessary. You demonstrate competence, but you don't showcase your entire arsenal unless the moment demands it. In any field, power grows in the shadows. People respect what they see, but they're intrigued by what they don't understand. That intrigue turns into influence, and influence turns into control. Remember this affirmation: I reveal strategically. I remain unreadable. My hidden strengths are my greatest power. 9. Creating uncertainty that works for you. There's one more layer that separates average players from power players. Uncertainty. People make mistakes when they're unsure, and you can use that uncertainty to your advantage as long as you remain certain within yourself. When others can't predict your next move, they start hesitating. When they can't read your emotions, they question their own. When they don't know where they stand with you, they work harder to earn your approval. That's not manipulation, that's psychological positioning. Predictable people are easy to manage. Unpredictable people are respected. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But here's the evolution of that thought. It's best to be unpredictable because unpredictable people are respected, remembered, and rarely crossed. To use this properly, you don't act erratically, you act strategically inconsistent. Respond quickly when it serves you. Delay when patience gives you leverage. Be warm sometimes, colder other times. Not to confuse, but to remind people that your emotional world is governed by your own values, not their expectations. Don't always be available. Don't always reply instantly. Don't always decide on the same timeline. Mix your rhythms. When people can't predict you, they stay engaged. They think more carefully around you. They invest more effort into understanding you, and that keeps you in control of the frame. Drop this line in the comments to claim the mindset. I am predictable in my values, but unpredictable in my methods. Now we reach the final transformation. The moment where you stop understanding invisible dominance and start embodying it. Because this isn't just theory. This is the blueprint for becoming the hidden force that shapes reality itself. Most people spend their lives trying to be seen, to be validated, to be understood. They shout louder, post more, explain everything, hoping the world will finally notice them. But power doesn't work like that. Power doesn't chase. It attracts. It doesn't explain. It decides. The most powerful presence in any room is the one that doesn't need to prove it belongs there. Let's break down how to become that person, the one who doesn't demand respect, but commands it effortlessly. Step 1. Eliminate the habits that drain power. First, you must remove 3 habits that quietly sabotage everything you're trying to build. These are the behaviors that make even intelligent people weak without realizing it. 1. The need for constant validation. Every time you look for approval, a compliment, a like, a nod, you hand someone else the remote control to your confidence. When you let their opinion define your worth, you'll never stop performing. Machiavelli would call this emotional servitude, and it's the opposite of influence. Stop waiting for people to recognize your value. You are not a product waiting for reviews. The moment you stop seeking validation, others start giving it freely, because indifference to approval creates authority. 2. The habit of over-explaining. Weak people over-justify everything. Their decisions, their boundaries, their silence. They think if they explain enough, they'll be understood. But over-explaining doesn't create understanding. It creates doubt. The more you talk, the less people trust your certainty. When you make a decision, let it stand. When you set a boundary, let it be clear. No is a complete sentence. You don't need to decorate it with apologies or excuses. True leaders explain less because their actions prove more. 3. Emotional reactivity. This one destroys more potential than anything else. The world tests you daily. People cancel plans, criticize you, ignore you, or try to provoke you. Every time you explode, you're showing your emotional map, exactly where you can be manipulated. Feel everything, but express strategically. Your first reaction is almost always emotional. Your second is strategic. Learn to live in the second one. Machiavelli said, "The best fortress a prince can possess is the affection of the people." But in modern terms, your best fortress is self-control, because no one can attack what they can't predict. Step 2. Build new habits of invisible dominance. Once you've cleared those weaknesses, it's time to install new, powerful behaviors, the ones that build silent authority everywhere you go. 1. Pause before responding. Whether it's a text, a question, or a confrontation, pause. That pause is power. It signals confidence. It makes people wonder what you're thinking. It gives you time to respond strategically instead of emotionally. The world moves fast. Powerful people move deliberately. 2. Ask more questions than you answer. The person asking questions directs the flow. Questions reveal. Statements expose. When you ask, you learn. When you answer too much, you reveal your hand. The art of subtle interrogation gives you insight others will never access because they're too busy talking. 3. Be selectively available. Not everyone deserves your time, your energy, or your focus. Make your attention something that must be earned. When people realize you don't give it away freely, they treat it with respect. This isn't arrogance, it's boundaries. Boundaries create gravity. 4. Speak with precision. Every word is either a seed or a leak. Powerful people talk less but say more. They don't fill the air with noise. They drop sentences like stones in still water. Each ripple deliberate. Cut filler words. Drop explanations that start with "I just" or "I think maybe." Speak with calm certainty. This is what Machiavelli meant when he wrote, A wise man does at once what a fool does at last. He was describing the discipline of decisive speech, acting when it matters, not when you're emotional. Step 3. Operate from the shadows. This is where everything connects. Mystery, silence, control. Scarcity, strategy. You stop chasing the spotlight and start building influence from the shadows. Understand this. Visibility and influence are not the same thing. The people with the most followers aren't the ones with the most power. Real influence is the ability to move things quietly, without resistance, without even being seen. You'll notice something when you begin to practice invisible dominance. You'll talk less, but people will listen more. You'll show up less often, but your presence will matter more. You'll stop arguing for respect and start receiving it without request. Why? Because real power doesn't compete. It sets the frame. Everyone else is fighting to be noticed. You're controlling the environment. They're busy performing. You're busy calculating. They're reacting to energy. You're generating it, and people will feel it. They won't always know why they're drawn to you, but they'll feel the pull. They'll listen more carefully. They'll speak more respectfully. They'll second-guess before crossing your boundaries, not because you threaten them, but because your presence radiates consequence. Step 4. Master minimum effort, maximum impact. The highest form of power is efficiency, maximum influence with minimum motion. You don't need to dominate every situation. You just need to create the right pressure points. You do this by aligning your timing, your tone, and your silence. You speak when others stop listening. You act when everyone hesitates. You exit when others cling. Every move becomes intentional. That's why Machiavelli said, "While men go on changing their rulers in the hope of bettering themselves, they usually find they have made things worse." His lesson? Most people act impulsively. The wise act with precision. The world rewards the person who moves second, but smarter. You don't rush to make impressions. You wait until the timing turns every gesture into leverage. Step 5. The final transformation. Now you embody invisible dominance. You no longer try to impress. You don't over-explain. You don't perform for attention. You simply exist strategically. You understand that true power doesn't live in the spotlight. It lives in silence, in mystery, in composure. You no longer chase influence. You radiate it. You don't need to prove control. You become control. Every conversation becomes a test you already studied for. Every silence becomes a stage for your confidence. Every decision becomes a mirror of your clarity. This is the Machiavellian ideal. Power built not on aggression, but on discipline. Not on dominance, but on understanding. Remember this: the world is full of people demanding respect and attention. Be the one who earns both without asking for either. You are now the unseen force that shapes outcome, the quiet strategist in a world of loud amateurs, the calm mind in a storm of emotion. Drop this final affirmation in the comments and mean it. I am the hidden force that shapes my reality through silence, strategy, and self-control. That's invisible dominance. That's power perfected. That's how you become unstoppable. Real power doesn't need noise. It doesn't shout, explain, or chase. It simply exists. When you walk in invisible dominance, people feel your presence before you speak. That's not luck, it's control. The kind that radiates from someone who knows their value, guards their emotions, and moves with purpose. But to keep this kind of power alive, you must know how to sustain it. Power that isn't disciplined will always destroy itself. Machiavelli understood that the moment you overuse your strength, you weaken it. So let's refine your edge. How to stay powerful without saying a word. 1. Appear less, mean more. Not every place deserves your presence. The more people see you, the less they value you. When you show up, make it intentional. When you speak, make it brief. When you leave them wanting more. Every time you disappear, curiosity grows. People begin to wonder where you are, what you're doing, what you're planning. That's how influence multiplies, not through exposure, but through absence. Scarcity fuels authority. Walk into rooms like it's a deliberate decision, not a routine. Look, observe, speak last, then vanish. The memory of your calm will outlast anyone's performance. 2. Stay calm. When others lose control. Nothing commands respect like composure. When everyone else panics, your calm becomes leadership. When they shout, your silence becomes power. If someone tries to provoke you, don't match their energy. Let their chaos expose itself. When you stay still, they unravel. The one who keeps composure wins by default. Machiavelli said that small insults aren't worth revenge, because reacting to every injury shows weakness. Save your energy for decisive moments. Don't fight every battle. Dominate the right one. 3. Control your timing and tone. Your tone reveals more than your words. Speak slowly, deliberately, as if your time matters. Rushing shows insecurity. Calm pacing shows command. Wait half a second longer than normal before responding. That pause creates authority. It tells people you think before you act. It makes your presence heavier, your voice sharper. In every discussion, be the person who says less, but lands harder. Every sentence should sound like a conclusion, not a question. Let silence be the punctuation that gives your words weight. 4. Protect your emotional frequency. Energy doesn't lie. People feel when you're centered, and they feel when you're desperate. Your emotional tone sets the tone of the room. So protect it. Never let others dictate your mood. When chaos enters, absorb it. When tension rises, stay still. Power is calm. Anger, desperation, and overexcitement all leak control. That's why solitude is essential. Spend time alone. Think clearly. Regulate your mind before you re-enter the world. A quiet mind radiates dominance. 5. Withdraw. Without explanation. Sometimes the most strategic move is to leave. Quietly. You don't owe anyone your time, attention, or reaction. When a situation drains you, exit. When someone disrespects you, vanish. When a conversation stops adding value, fall silent. People will replay your absence in their minds. That's how you maintain mystery. Not every battle deserves a response. Walking away without noise is the most elegant form of control. 6. Guard your reputation. Your reputation is your invisible armor. It speaks before you do. Protect it with discipline, not performance. Never chase rumors, outgrow them. Never defend yourself too quickly. Silence creates doubt in your critics. Act with consistency until your behavior becomes undeniable proof of who you are. Reputation is power you build once and spend forever. Treat it like gold. Polish it with integrity. Protect it with restraint. 7. Balance ruthlessness with grace. Invisible dominance isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Ruthlessness without balance turns you into a tyrant. Grace without firmness turns you into prey. Be sharp but fair. Strategic but never bitter. Let your coldness come from control, not ego. Power mixed with quiet empathy becomes magnetic. Remember, fear wins obedience, but respect wins loyalty. Combine both, and no one will challenge you lightly. 8. Detach from outcome. The final discipline is detachment, to act with full focus but zero desperation. When you stop needing outcomes, you gain the freedom to shape them. Machiavelli believed that fortune favors the mind that stays unmoved by loss or success. Detachment gives clarity. You no longer act from fear or craving. You act from intent. Detach from approval. Detach from outcome. Control yourself, not the world. That's how you remain steady when everyone else bends. You'll know you've mastered this when people can't explain why they respect you. They just do. Your silence becomes language. Your calm becomes gravity. Your absence becomes influence. Whisper this to yourself until it becomes instinct. I move with calm precision. I act with strategy. I rule through silence. That's the art of unseen power, Machiavelli's timeless secret, reborn in you. Becoming powerful isn't about learning tricks. It's about transforming presence. You've peeled back the layers. Silence, mystery, emotional control, strategic timing. Now, it's time to embody it, to live as the hidden force that shapes reality. This final step isn't about pretending. It's about becoming. You don't need to talk about power. You radiate it. The most dangerous person in any room is not the loudest. It's the one who doesn't need to prove anything. The one who watches, waits, and moves with quiet certainty. That's who you're becoming now. 1. Reprogram your identity. Most people act powerful for moments. You're going to become power permanently. To do that, you must change how you see yourself. Every action starts with identity. Stop identifying as someone trying to earn respect. You already command it. Stop seeing yourself as a player in the game. You are the one shaping the board. The more you internalize that, the less you'll chase approval or recognition. Tell yourself daily, I don't compete for attention. I create gravity. I don't seek validation. I move from self-certainty. I don't explain. I demonstrate. Power is not about who you convince. It's about what you embody. 2. Practice strategic detachment. You will face moments that test your control. Someone will insult you. A plan will fail. A person you trusted will switch sides. Your instinct will be to react, defend, or fight back. Don't. Detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means you see the game from above the board, not trapped on it. You act, but you don't cling. You feel emotions, but you don't drown in them. You care, but you never depend. When you detach, you win twice. You keep your clarity and your composure. That's why Machiavelli said, men are driven by two main impulses, either by love or by fear. The detached mind isn't ruled by either. It moves by strategy. Detach from outcome. Detach from opinion. Stay focused on leverage, not validation. Every situation becomes easier when you realize you have nothing to prove and everything to control. 3. Turn silence into strategy. Silence is not passive, it's tactical. Use it in 3 ways. Observation. Every time you stay silent, you collect information. People reveal more than they think. Watch, listen, decode. Control. Silence makes people adjust to your pace. They fill the void with their own uncertainty, revealing weakness. Impact. When you finally speak, your words land like a blade. The contrast gives them force. The rule is simple. Never speak to ease your discomfort. Speak to direct the frame. Every word must move the game forward. 4. Use selective visibility. Everyone deserves to know your plans or see your progress. Power grows in private. Announcing every move drains energy before it matures. Let your results seek. Let your silence confuse. Appear when it benefits you. Withdraw when you've made your impact. Always keep a part of yourself unrevealed. Your next step, your deeper motive, your full capability. People should feel they've seen much, but never everything. The moment they think they understand you completely, you've lost the mystique that protects your advantage. 5. Master energy economics. Your attention, focus, and emotion are currencies. The weak spend them on gossip, distractions, arguments. The powerful invest them only where they yield results. Before reacting, ask, does this deserve my energy? Before helping, ask, does this align with my goals? Before explaining, ask, does this strengthen or weaken my position? You can't control the world, but you can control what you feed. Every ounce of energy you withhold from nonsense strengthens your influence. 6. Radiate the law of minimal motion. The highest form of power looks effortless. Like a chess master, every move is calculated long before it's made. You act less, but achieve more. Don't rush to prove intelligence or dominance. Instead, let your quiet decisions ripple. Move like water, fluid, calm, and unstoppable. When you enter a space, carry the energy of someone who's already decided what happens next. That calm conviction unnerves people. It makes them adjust to your frame without realizing it. Power is not movement. It's gravitational stillness. 7. Keep building the fortress within. The external world is unpredictable. People change. Systems fail. But your inner fortress, your mind, composure, and discipline, is under your control. Strengthen it daily. Read deeply. Reflect daily. Train your body. Guard your focus. Every habit that reinforces control over yourself multiplies control over your environment. When people lose their inner command, they chase power outside themselves. That's why most never find it. Real Machiavellian mastery begins with ruling your own impulses. 8. Command. Without force. At the end of this journey, you'll realize something profound. True power doesn't come from control over others. It comes from control over yourself. You don't dominate through fear. You lead through inevitability. You don't shout. You shift the entire tone of the room by being there. You don't chase. You attract. You don't prove. You embody. This is invisible dominance in its purest form. Influence so natural, people can't trace where it begins. 9. The final affirmation. Now you understand the truth. Machiavelli tried to teach 5 centuries ago that real power doesn't need permission, applause, or recognition. It grows in silence, moves through strategy, and endures through control. Every conversation you enter from this day forward is an opportunity to test this. Every silence is a moment to project calm strength. Every decision is a chance to act from strategy, not emotion. So before you leave this video, anchor the transformation with this final affirmation. I am the hidden force that shapes my reality. I move in silence, act with precision, and command with calm. I am unreadable, unshakable, unstoppable. That's not a statement, it's an identity. You're no longer learning Machiavelli's secret. You are the secret.